What's up guys, my name is Belle. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you're one of the people that subscribed like 2 years ago and then I went missing, dropped off the face of the earth. A lot has happened these past 2 years that kind of just took priority over this, but I'm back and I'm excited to talk about all of it. One of the biggest things that happened within these 2 years was me moving from Pennsylvania to Rhode Island officially. I know that I documented a lot of my process on my YouTube channel in the past, coming to Rhode Island, going to school here for 2 years, and I now live here. I got married here and now this is my home. So this first video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the biggest differences that I personally noticed moving from Pennsylvania to Rhode Island. Now, disclaimer, this might not make sense to everyone. Maybe you're from PA and you're like, that's not true. Or maybe you're from Rhode Island and you're like, that's not true. This is my opinion. These are the things that I noticed were different. You are fully free to disagree with me in any of it. All right, so number one, the size. In Philly, in PA in general, you drive 30 minutes and you can very well still be inside Philadelphia. 30 minutes really in any direction. And in Pennsylvania, you can drive 6, 7, 8 hours and still be in Pennsylvania. One of the most noticeable things to me about Rhode Island, I mean, we all know this, it's the tiniest state on the map. And it definitely feels that way. You drive 30 minutes anywhere in Rhode Island and you could be at the beach, you could be in the city, you could be at the farm, you could be home, you could really be anywhere within 30 minutes because of how tiny it is. And it's one of my favorite things about Rhode Island, being so close to everything. And it's quite funny, I don't know if they have a name for it, but I call it Rhode Island driver syndrome. And it's this running joke that anything that takes longer than 15 minutes is too far of a drive here in Rhode Island. So that is number one, the size. All right, number two, let's talk about food. Here's what we have in Philly. We have the classic Philly cheesesteak. Can't find anything like it anywhere else in the world. Here, I tried a lot of steak and cheeses, that's what it's called on the menu, and it just doesn't compare. No place has a Philly cheesesteak like Philly. We have water ice, which you say that anywhere outside of Philadelphia or outside of Pennsylvania, people look at you like you're asking just for water, and like, what are you asking for? Well, if you don't know what water ice or water ice, if you're from Philly, if you don't know what that is, it's like Italian ice and you can get it in a bunch of different flavors, but we call it water ice. And we have Wawa. Wawa is the grandest, the most beautiful gas station / convenience store creation mashup known to man. You can step into a Wawa any day of the year, any time of the day, any time of the night, and they are there to bless you with hot food that they will make on the spot. You walk into a Wawa, if you've never been, you have to go. And there's these little touchscreen menus that you go and you order, you customize your food, you customize your drinks any time of the day or night, and it's there. And the gas station is right outside. It's beautiful, it's magnificent, and Rhode Island needs a Wawa. Now, here's what Rhode Island has. Rhode Island has Del's Lemonade. When I first heard of it, I was expecting like a water ice situation, but it's more of like a slushy consistency of lemonade, and it has little pieces of lemon in it. It's really, really good. And I've heard that there's like a rivalry between Del's Lemonade and Mr. Lemon. I haven't had Mr. Lemon yet, but I love Del's and I know it's really good. New York System hot wieners. I'm guessing it's kind of like the equivalent of how people from Philly feel about Philly cheesesteaks. They feel about New York System hot wieners. I've never tried one. I've heard they're really, really good, and also that they destroy your stomach. This one took me a little bit of time to catch on to, was a little confusing at first. They have something called coffee milk. Now, coffee milk is not coffee, it is coffee flavored syrup in milk. So I'm not really sure what the point there is, but it's good. It's like the state drink, coffee milk. And this one, I'm sorry, Rhode Island, I just have to roast you for a little tiny bit. I love you, but party pizza. If you're gonna go anywhere and there's party pizza, what that is just tomato pie. It's literally just pizza dough with tomato sauce. And I've heard of Rhode Islanders who love it and who are for it, and Rhode Islanders who are like, I'm sorry, this is not pizza. In my personal opinion, pizza means dough, tomato sauce, and at least cheese. Those are the prerequisites of being called a pizza. But here, party pizza is a fun thing, a pastime, a favorite activity, tomato pie. And my personal favorite thing to eat here in Rhode Island is this little place called Iggy's, and Iggy's has the best clam chowder that I've ever had in my life. And these things called doughboys, and it's just like fresh hot fried dough covered in like powdered sugar or cinnamon sugar, and it's just so good, and you get it fresh and it just like melts in your mouth, and it's magical, fantastical. What a great time. But the point is, I guess, no matter where you find yourself, Pennsylvania or Rhode Island, rest assured there will be fantastic food for you to try. All right, let's move on to number 3, transportation. This one was a little bit more difficult for me to get used to when I first moved here. I personally wasn't used to being on the highway every day. Here in Rhode Island, we use the highway for everything. Like, you wanna go to the grocery store, you probably have to get on the highway. You wanna go to Walmart, you have to get on the highway. You wanna go to your doctor's, you have to get on the highway. Unless you have all these things like in your neighborhood, it's pretty normal to just be on the highway every day to get to work. It's the system that is most efficient, and I have learned to love it. When I first moved here, it was a little bit difficult for me because I never really was in the habit of memorizing exit signs and what's my exit, where I get off. But now, having lived here for a year and my past time here in ALC, I've kind of gotten used to what's north, what's south, and I think that if I find myself lost, I know how to get back if I can find the highway. In Philadelphia, you could disagree with me. Maybe you live a lifestyle where you're on the highway every day in Philly because you're going into Center City all the time. But personally, I felt like I really was never on the highway unless I was going into Center City. I feel like to get from neighborhood to neighborhood, even like neighboring like little cities, you just drive there. You just have normal back roads, but I never really thought of them as back roads. They were just roads. But now when I think through driving through like normal roads, my brain thinks of that as a back road. But I actually have learned to love the highway system here, and the fact that you just don't have to stop. You just can keep going because there's no lights and there's no stop signs, and it's pretty awesome. Number 4, housing. This is something that I love on both ends of the spectrum. In Philly, I grew up pretty used to the fact that everyone's homes look exactly the same. In most Philly neighborhoods, I'm not gonna say all of them, but in most Philly neighborhoods, all the houses are shaped the exact same way, have a similar look on the outside, and they have a similar layout on the inside. And not only that, in Philly, there are the streets and the entire like blocks and blocks and blocks of the red brick row home. Just streets that are, I mean, if you get lost and you don't know where you are, good luck, because every street looks exactly the same. It's just rows and rows and rows of red brick homes. I kind of thought that all of America was like that, and maybe that's a little bit ignorant of me, but I wasn't really out. Here, if you drive down any street, you'll notice that every house looks different. In one street, you have houses in many different colors, many different shapes, many different setups. In Philly, if you have a multifamily home, they're typically a side-by-side duplex where you have someone living on this side and someone living on this side, but it's one big house. Here, multifamilies are typically floors. So someone lives on the first floor, someone lives on the second floor, and there could be a third floor, which is something that I wasn't really used to even seeing. A lot of people live in multifamilies. I feel like I see them everywhere all the time. I don't know if it's just because I'm more aware of them since I was used to the opposite, but I actually find it really cool that on our street, our house is like teal and no one else's house on our street is teal. But there's a bunch of different houses in a bunch of different colors, and I actually think it's pretty cool. Last but not least, my 5th and final observation is the lingo. And when I say lingo, I mean accent and wording. I've noticed and encountered several people. I find that it's the older Rhode Islanders, not so much of like the young adults, the youth. I find that a lot of older Rhode Islanders say things like draw instead of drawer, like, you know, like a drawer that you open. They'll say like, oh, like, open the draw. Something else that I've noticed and took me a while to get used to, and it was a little bit confusing at first for me, were words that end with a W, like saw, like I saw it. I noticed that a lot of the older crowd say saw it, like as if there's an R at the end of the W. So it's like, oh yeah, I saw it. Maybe it's not that pronounced, but like that's how I hear it in my brain. One of the ways that people describe this Rhode Island accent is that they drop R's and add R's. And one of the things that I honestly wish I grew up saying, and I wish that it just naturally came out of me, is to use the word wicked. Like they say like, oh, that's wicked cool, or like the word wicked is just part of the vocabulary, and I kind of wish, I don't know, I just think wicked is cool, but I also feel like I don't say it because it's never been something I've said, and I kind of feel geeky saying it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's wicked cool, and I'm like, I'm not from here. Two things that we have completely different words for are water fountains and turn signals. The turn signal one maybe isn't that big of a deal, and maybe I'm just hyping it up. They call it blinker, like you don't use your blinker, or you do use your blinker. Most people don't use their blinkers here, but they call water fountains bubblers. Does anyone else feel like if something is called a bubbler, it should shoot out like seltzer, like sparkling water, like a bubbler, you know? Not water. That's something that when I first heard it, like I think I just casually heard someone say like, oh yeah, I got a drink from the bubbler, and I'm like, huh? I just want to go on the record and say that it is a water fountain and it is a turn signal. But Rhode Island, I love you. Don't hate me. So that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Rhode Island, I love you. Philly, I love you. Wawa, please come to Rhode Island. I will be posting on this channel every Tuesday and every Friday, so make sure you hit the like and subscribe for more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Deuce. Number 4. Number 4, housing. I said housing. 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 Number 4, housing. If you hear any sounds, my dog is currently here sniffing my feet. You want to say hi, everyone? Say hi. Hi, everyone. This is 7. He's my puppy. If you hear any sounds of farting, snorting, anything, it's him.